Okay po, so magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Salamat po sa pagkakataon na makapag-ulat o present ng aking konting kaalaman 'no, tungkol sa kasaysayan ng Naga, partikular sa kasaysayan o presensya ng mga Tsino dito sa ating lungsod simula pa nung mga panahon ng Kastila o 1870s. So ngayon po ishe-share ko na po yung aking, um, wait lang po, Okay, sana po nakikita po nila ito, no? So, kita niyo naman po ang aking presentation, bagamat nasa Ingles ay ipipilipino ko na lang, no? Ito po ay tungkol sa mga negosyo, mga addresses o tirahan at yung mga kasal, no, ng mga Chino at mga lokal na babae o lokal na Bicolana rito sa ating rehiyon noong panahon po ng Kastila at panahon po ng Amerikano. So 1870 to 1925. Ngayon po, hindi natin may tatanggi no, na ang Naga ay napaka-importanting settlement o pamayanan no, sa rehiyon ng Bicol kahit noong panahon pa. Pero siguro sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas sa ilalim ng mga Kastila, ang siyudad de Nueva Caceres o yung Naga no, ay naging mahalagang lugar siya mga 1700s pa lang. Isa lang sa apat siguro ng mga apat o lima na bayan na importante labas po ng Maynila nung panahon na yon, no? So, ang kailangan din natin makita sa kasaysayan ay gumagamit po tayo ng tinatawag na proxy indicator kung wala tayong actual source. Ano po ang proxy indicator? Pamalit siya dun sa usual na mga science na ang isang lugar ay mahalaga. So sa panahon po na ito, ang isang magandang proxy indicator pagdating sa pagkakaroon ng maraming mga Chino, ibig sabihin mayaman yung lugar mo, no? Maraming negosyo o oportunidad para sa mga migranteng Chino na umasenso ang buhay nila. So, nung panahon din po yon, no, dahil nga religious center din ang Naga noon, that's a diocese ng Nueva Cáceres, no, Hans buong Bicol po at ang hawak niyan. Ah, ito lang yung isa sa mga lugar no sa labas ng Maynila na meron talagang mayabong na Chinese community. Parang nga may parian pa ata noon, no? Pero yung naganap ito na dumami, kailan pa dumami talaga ang mga Chino sa lugar natin, no? Dumami po sila sa Naga at sa Bicol region, lalong-lalo na nung nagkaroon ng pagbabago sa ekonomiya ng Bicol mula sa isang lugar na nagtatanim lang for subsistence tapos nagkaroon ng cash crop economy. Nung naging sikat po yung abaka nung 1800, late 1800s, mga 1860s, 1870s, doon po nagsidagsaan po yung mga Chino sa Naga at sa Bicol sa whole, and at the same time tumuloy-tuloy yan hanggang 1920s, no? So ang Abaka boom nag-umpisa nga noong 1860s, 1870s, tapos tumuloy siya hanggang 1900s, no, para sa ilang mga Chino. Eventually nga noong 1900s dominated na ng Chinese ang transport at ang rice trade sa Bicol. Importante pa yan kasi pang araw-araw na buhay yon, rice kinakain, so nakakontrol nila isang importanteng resource. At the same time, transport, mobility is part of human settlement. So, slide po tayo. So, tungkol saan ba itong presentation na ito? Well, simple lang, no? Ah, ang tanong lang dito ay ano bang mga uri ng batis o sources, no, sa archives ang pwedeng makapakita yung presensya or even yung rootedness ng Chinese sa colonial Naga, no? Wala masyadong pag-aaral tungkol dito, konti lang eh. Sabi nga nung lumao na Bicolano historian na si Luis Derry, no, sa mauhusay na mananaliksik na produkto ng Bicolandia, no, sabi nga sa isa niyang libro, kung wala kang dokumento, paano ka gagawa ng kasaysayan o interpretasyon ng nakaraan o batis, no? So, this paper, no, ang tako sa Ingles ay isang simple reconnaissance. Parang patikim lang, dinaanan lang natin yung mga batis na meron sa National Archives of the Philippines na kung saan mapakita yung presensya o mababasa natin yung presensya ng ating mga kapatid na Chino, no? So, ano po yung mga sources na ginamit? Isa po dyan ay ang Expedientes Matrimoniales. Ngayon, marami sa mga kinasal na Chino, at makapaliwanag ko mamaya, ay hindi taga-Naga. Galing sila karamihan sa Albay at present-day Sorsogon, no? Pero, para ma-validate yung marriage nila noong panahon, kailangan dumaan ka muna kailangan i-approve ba muna ng Diocese ng Nueva Cáceres yung inyong kasal. Ngayon, pangalawa po doon, no, yung tinatawag na kontribusyon industrial, no? Yung contribution industrial naman ay yung listahan ng mga negosyo ng mga Chino na either successful o nalugi. Mga nalugi po ng panahon sa Nueva Cáceres noong late 1890s. Yung huli naman po ay kopya ng tinatawag natin civil registration records. No? Ito po yung mga kailan pinanganak ang isang bata, kailan namatay ang isang tao. Yun po yan. Sa Naga din po yan. No, ito po ang isang example ng mga Chino na nag-asawa ng lokal na babae, no, na native. Usually, bihira po ang mestiza doon eh. Karamihan po sa kanila mga India talaga. So, mga karaniwang tao. No? So, ito po ang isang example, si Emilio Asensi di Cuico, no, na tagaligaw. Pinakasalan niya ata ang isang kababayan niya din doon na babae. No? So ito po ang isang kopya nun. Ngayon po, hindi simpleng kasal lang yan. Kasi noong panahon po, para makapagkasal ang isang Chino, kailangan niya muna maging Kristiyano o mabinyagan. Maliban doon, may 1874 na batas na kailangan at least 10 taon ka nang nakatira sa Pilipinas. Particularly siguro doon sa place of residence kung asan siya. So, ibig sabihin, bahagi na ng komunidad yung Chino na ito. No? Kasama siya sa pang-araw-araw na buhay ng mga tao. Kilala niya yung mga tao. Pero para ma-formalize po yan or ma-validate po yan, ang final validator po niyan is the diocese mismo na nasa Nueva Cáceres. No? Yung head. Tapos dadalhin yan sa Maynila. Kaya nga nakita niyo sa pangatlong retrato may nakalagay Maynila. Ito naman po, ito malapit po kung saan po ako galing sa Albay, si Antonio Alvarez Nunquiaco, no? Pinakasalan niya ang isang India na soltera na si Regina Conde. Ngayon, sila ay isang example ng love your neighbor kasi taga Malinaw si Chino Cristiano, si Antonio. Si Regina naman po ay taga Tiwi. So magkatabi lang naman, no? Magkalapit, no? Ngayon, ang tanong, bakit po kaya pag titingnan niyo ang listahan na nandito, yung mga residences nila, yan no? Mahirap siyang basahin, tapos bigla convert mo to Excel. So this is how you do historiography, no? So makikita mo, ito yung mga Chinong nagkasal, itong residence nila, ito yung asawa nila, yung nasa pangatlong column, at yung residence naman ng babae. Ang importante dito ay tingnan niyo yung mga bayan. Halos wala po taga-Kamsur. Bagamat Kamsur yung document. Bakit kaya? Ang sagot po dito ay simple. Kasi pag tinignan niyo ang mga secondary sources, sinasabi po nila, karamihan sa mga Chino na pumasok sa Bicol noong panahon na ito, noong 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, ay pumunta sa Abaca-rich areas, which is Albay, present-day Sorsogon, and Catanduanes, present-day Catanduanes. Kamsur, unfortunately, was more of a supplier of rice, no, to these people, no, to these places. Pero, like what I said kanina, all marriages went through or had to go through the diocese here in Naga. No? For karamihan po dyan, tingnan niyo po mabuti. So that's how you marry primary sources with secondary sources. No? So next slide po tayo. Let's talk about birth records of Chinese with parents and Chinese people with Chinese ancestry. Ngayon po, patikim lang para sa inyo, alam naman natin isa sa mga kilala at tanyag ng mga produkto ng Naga ay si Jessie Robredo. Sa pakiramdam ko po kung tama po ang aking akala, si Jose Robredo nasa number 474 na pinanganak noong July 21, 1923 at ang tatay niya ay si Juan Robredo na galing China ay isang ay yung kamag-anak ay yung posible tatay ata ni Jessie Robredo. Posible, no? So maganda po. The father was 36 years old at that time, 1923. So it's good if you do the math, it's really possible. Ngayon, yan yung close up. Yung nandun sa upper right hand corner is actually the register of births, no? So halo-halo po yan. But here's one thing that you would notice, no? It reveals yung changing nature ng Chinese migration. Why? Kasi po, nung panahon ng Kastila, 96% of all the Chinese who came here were male, no? And then nagbago siya nung panahon ng Amerikano because well not necessarily because of them no but at that time kasi there was a policy wherein you could now bring over your relatives, no, yung mga naiwan mong anak o asawa papuntang Pilipinas. So many, no, a good number of records that we saw were marriages, yung mga batang pinanganak were marriages between Chinese parents na talaga, no? Importante 'yon kasi it also reflects US migration policy at that time. So dito mo makita na it's really important na primary sources should not be taken at face value, no? Na kailangan mo tingnan na, oh, what does the secondary source say related to this topic? No? Kasi yun ang problema pag tinuturo ang kasaysayan ngayon sa college, ang emphasis is the primary source. When in fact, you can never separate it from secondary sources. Like dito, nakuha ko yan from Richard Chu, no? Yung US migration policies, no? So, importante na pag may nakita kang source, lesson lang to those who do history, you also have to look at the secondary source. What does it say, no? Para to make sense of it. Diba? So, yun ang isang lesson po ron. Also, kung titingnan nyo po, kung if you will have the privilege of looking at this data, most of the Chinese there were no longer laborers. Most of them were actually merchants, consuls, skilled people because yun lang yung pwedeng mag-migrate from China sa Pilipinas noon, unlike in other Southeast Asian countries. But more importantly, nakikita mo to, si Jose Robredo, ang alam ko mga taga-Dayangdang na ang mga Robredo, no? Pero sa Tabuco siya pinanganak. At ang residence ng magulang niya. So, dito mo makita na ito yung rootedness na sinasabi natin na yung mga Chino kasama natin, they become Filipinized over time because they become part of the community and it starts with residence. No, they have to stay here. Okay? So, ito po from the raw data, ito na po ang itsura po ng Excel file, no? So it's very clear, no? You see that most of them were merchants or bakers or cooks. None of them were laborers. No, walang laborers po diyan. And dito makikita mo, wow, interesting. General Luna, Tabuco, Mercalli Mercado, I don't know where that is right now. Elias Angeles, Balintawak. Asan kaya ito sa mapa? So again, here you marry history with geography and you will see na, oh nga no, what if we map it out? And then you will realize, oh ito pala, oh, nandito lang pala sila. They lived in a very small area in Naga, especially sa gitna po na photo. Dito yung Tabuco, makikita mo dulo siya, it's near Robinson's Place, Naga. So dito mo makikita na your landscape, Naga, is one big cultural landscape. No? Na you will see na there's new and old mixed up, no? And dito mo makita, oh, malapit lang pala dito. Dito pala yung mga Chinese nakatira noong panahon. Kanya Francia, General Luna, and you will realize na magkakalapit lang pala talaga sila, no? It was a very small area. And you will see how it expanded over time. Now, the next slide po is still the same, no? Ganun pa rin na listahan. Same Chinese, and then where did they live? So, also another place na maraming Chinese was Igualdad Interior, which is now in the area of what we call Naga City People's Mall. So this is very interesting, no? Kailangan natin makita na, you know, history can only be useful also if it could be also related to the present, no? So kailangan natin na to bear that in mind. Now let's talk about deaths, no? Something that I don't really want to talk about, no? Pero no one, Philippines don't really like talking about death. Pero ito, let's talk about it, no? Makikita mo agad dito na, okay, you can come up with a history of health, no? A picture of health. Paano ba namamatay ang mga tao noong panahon? And akin, ang pattern lang na nakikita ko is, walang diferensya yung pagkamatay ng Chino sa pinagkamatay ng isang Pilipino noong panahon. We're all the same. No? So dito mo makikita, no? TB, malaria, bronchopneumonia. A lot of people were dying very young. So infant mortality rates were very high back in the day. And the Chinese were not spared of this. No? Fermina Di Chanco died 10 days. Celerina Ongquinco died 1 day lang siya. Francisco Cubonhi, 1 month, 6 days. No? So here you will see na they were very much part of what was happening. No? They were not exceptional. They were the norm. No? And also, mapakita mo ito rin yung mga tirahan po ulit nila. No? May iba na halimbawa, yung mga kawawang Chino, yung mga yan, nasa karsel, na dead ball siya sa karsel. No? Karsel provincial. No? Over here, no? Sa upper sa gitnang portion. So, merong tinatawag na resident sa Naga na Parian. So, would be interesting to know, where on earth is this Parian? No? At ang isa pang kagandahan dito, nakalagay sa dulo sa kanan, where were they buried? And most of them were buried sa cemeteries that are still existing. yung Concepcion, and also sa Peña Francia Avenue, no? So interesting siya. I mean, I'm not from Naga, I'm from Albay, no? My parents are, no? Pero makikita mo na this is very interesting, no? And also, maganda makita mo na there's what we call health history, no? Pwede mo makita na, oh, you could look at what were their diseases, no? What did they die of back in the day, no? Is it any different from people now, no? And again, kung titinan yung mapa, asan ba po yung mga public cemetery? Yan. Yung current public cemetery ng Naga, and then the one on the right and on the left, yung sa likod ng Heredia Peña Francia, along Peña Francia Avenue would be the other cemetery. So it's still there. No? Here's another example. So let's talk about something that's morbid. Let's talk about businesses. No? I think when you talk about businesses, look at Naga right now. Naga, in geographic terms, no, urban geographers would say, Naga is what we call a place that is institutionally complete. It is a central place. It has all the businesses that are available. I'll give you an example. I'm actually fat, no? If you, obvious naman, no? If you see me right now. Sa Legazpi po, wala po akong pantalon na nagkakasya. Pero sa Naga, lahat ng mga mall dito, kasya po, may size po ako ng pantalon. So that's what you call institutional completeness. Also, another sign of institutional completeness is lahat ng services na specialized nandyan. And Naga was actually a site of specialized services. No? Yung hindi lang simpleng mga sari-sari store, no. Complex businesses. Like this guy, no? Si Limlim na is a tallow candle maker. Tallow, taba po ng baka. Ang ginagamit niya para gumawa po ng ano. And it's not in Tabuco Street, but along Tabuco, the Tabuco area in Nueva Cáceres. And malaki ang negosyo niya because he paid 60 pesos for it. Just to give you context, kung meron kang negosyo na panggingge, yung sugalan, 13 pesos yun. Kung sari-sari store, 8 pesos. Kung may kalesa ka, 8 pesos. Siya, 60 pesos. So malaki po ang negosyo ni Kuya, no? So it's a very big business along the Tabuco area. He was a candle maker. Now, this other person naman, on the other hand, no, is what? Di Chauco in 1893, he opened a duly licensed metal workshop along San Francisco Street in Nueva Cáceres. I think it's still existing, no? So, metal workshop, interesting, no? Na may ganyan. Bakit metal works? Well, marami siyang gamit, no? In a time na, well, not really industrialized, but when steel was becoming a lot more common in the Philippines, no? Metalworks was a very important business kasi wala naman pong mass-produce na mga bagay noong panahon. Magpapasadya ka, no? So, yan po yan. Isang example din nun. Here's another one, no? Si Maawi, no? Meron siyang shoe repair shop, no? Pero nakalagay, I am a shoe repair shop, pero nagbebenta rin po ako ng sapatos for sale. Pero wala po akong ginagamit na imported materials. So this actually jives with the statement na a lot of the Chinese who came over in the Philippines were actually artisans, no? Who provided skills that the colonizers and the local population needed. And Naga was no exception. Again, yung permit cost niya was 24 pesos. Parang lit-lit, no? January 1893. Just to give you context about money back in the day, in 1898, 1896, people who were rich had what we call an ice box. An ice box, para mapunuan mo ng ice yan, you would need mga 5 pesos worth of ice every month. Noong 1998, that was worth 8,000 pesos. In the year 2010 ata, or 2020, that was already worth 16,000 pesos. So doon mo makikita po na yung 5 pesos na 16,000 pesos ngayon, how much more than 24 pesos. So mahal po ito. These were not cheap operations, no? No, si Chino Santiago Gonzalez, again, if you notice, some of them have Hispanized names. Mga pangalan po yan ng mga ninong nila, no? But at the same time, they have become Christianized. Bakit? You become Christianized and the major motivation for that is to get married. No? So you are now part of the community. So siya naman, kung gumagawa kayo ng mga katawan ng kotse, di ba, yung mga bus, siya, gumagawa siya ng katawan ng mga karwahe. At again, sa Tabuco, Nueva Cáceres na siya. Now, hindi po totoo na lahat ng mga Chino ay successful sa negosyo. At si Emilio Asensi, yung lumabas din sa isang dokumento ata kanina, in-inform yung authorities ng Naga ng gobyerno na isasara ko na po yung sari-sari store ko. Bakit? Kasi low profitability. Bakit niya in-inform pa? Para wag na siya magbayad ng buwis. So this jives with yung notion na not all Chinese who came were successful, and a lot of them took risks and failed. They're human like us, no? So hindi naman sila laging successful sa negosyo. Okay, another one is Chino de Cinco. Meron naman siyang cotton, yarn, and fabric store sa Naga. So this, and actually, yan po ang isang major na negosyo ng mga Chinese noon, cotton yarn and fabric store. And then, ang gagawin nila, they will accept payment in the form of abaka or other goods, and then they will resell it. Lalo yung abaka kasi sila yung nagiging conduit ng mga negosyante, mga kumpanya noon na nag-import ng abaka. British firms and American firms like Smith, Bell and Company. Huh? So, here's another example, no? Bakit importante si Christian Chinese Sigunduko Mapa? Importante po ito because he was operating a sugarcane still. Bakit importante yan? Because by the 1880s, the Chinese dominated the localized alcohol beverage trade. At siya po ay isang prime example po nun. Now, we're about to close, no? So why study the presence of immigrant Chinese, no? In Naga? Because tale as old as time, people actually move, settle, set roots, and become part of their communities. Like many of you are listening right now, a good number of you will not be in the Philippines 10, 15 years from now. Because our ancestors were moving to better places, and so do we. No, we also do that. Now, another thing is that we should always be inclusive, no? And sometimes, as thing with history, there's so many things to study about our societies, and all sectors and groups should be valued. You need to uncover, and uncovering their past is one way of showing it, giving them importance. But this I find important kasi when I was doing studies related to this, no, someone from a panel asked me, di ba kaaway natin yung mga Chino? Sabi ko, we have to make this distinction between the Chinese people and the Chinese government. Because most people in general are good wherever you go, no? But the Chinese government and their policies, that's a different animal, no? Iba yan. At the same time, makikita po natin na those who migrate eventually become actually localized, and their shift in loyalties also include yung process is also included in their process of localization, no? So dito makita na yung mga Chino ba dapat na mga Chino iba tinatanong natin, kayo ka loyal? Obviously loyal sila sa atin kasi hindi naman sila tatanggapin as Chinese with the Chinese themselves in mainland China. They are one of us. And that should be that should be imperative, no? Kasi nagkakaroon ng fear mongering right now, and it's a bit concerning, no? Let's make a distinction between the Chinese people, Chinese migrants, Chinoys, and the Chinese government, no? Wag tayong mag-ingat po tayo doon. And also, archival research is very humbling, no? They reveal to us what we still have much to learn about, no? Ang dami pa nating kailangan matutunan, no? And ito, we don't change. We are the same people, no? Our forefathers and tayo, halos lahat tayong pinagkaiba. We are just as flawed as them. And archival research underscores how our humanity is timeless. With that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot.